Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Action A Go Go live stream. Carl Weathers Retrospective. My name is Derek Scarzella. I am the host, the writer of The Vicious Game and Knuckle Crack Bone. Joining me today is Cy Shackelford, as well as Zach Santucci, both Action A Go Go alumni. And I'm going to let you guys do some introductions for yourselves. Cy, go first, and we'll do Zach next.
All right, Cy Shackelford is my name. I also go by the name Shack House on YouTube and Instagram. You can find my YouTube channel, also titled Shack House, where we cover detailed descriptions on comic characters, comic events, and music. Also, 301 Colored Commentators. I'm also the co-host in the podcast for that, where we cover music, pro wrestling, and a movie per month. So check that out when you get a chance.
Awesome. And I'm Zach Santucci. I'm excited to talk about Carl Weathers here. The first Rocky I ever saw was Rocky IV. And even though I didn't have the history, I was still on the verge of tears when Apollo died. Spoiler alert. So now that's happened in real life. I'm looking forward to reminiscing.
Yeah. It's really, February started off in the worst way when I heard about the news of Carl Weathers passing, and I think it caught everybody by surprise.
February 1st.
February 1st. Yeah, terrible irony there. But we're here to celebrate his life, his legacy, and we're just going to do some basics here. We're going to do a quick biography and then just go through his major motion pictures and talk about a lot of other things along the way. People can sound off in the chat or just share their stories of how they, first saw Carl Weathers, like Zach did, whether it's Rocky IV or Predator or whatever. Just want to share some pretty good memories here, talk about his legacy, and then just go from there. So I'm going to read a quick biography here, very, very short. And let me just dive into the movies. So he was born on January 14th, 1948, in New Orleans, Louisiana. He went to San Diego State, where he was basically a football star. Very talented athlete, very, very physical guy, obviously, as we're about to discuss. But from there, he went to the Oakland Raiders. So he became an NFL football player, which is incredible. That's the best of the best in terms of, physicality and all that other good stuff. And of course, after that, he pursued acting professionally, starred in Friday Foster, or had a small part in Friday Foster, and then Bucktown. And after that, he made it into Rocky, which was his breakout role, incredible role, and just go from there. So one thing I did want to say here, and I don't know if anybody realized this, he was billed as an athlete turned actor, but did you all know that he actually went to school, like his college major was acting?
Oh, really?
I didn't know that. I thought he was just, like you said, an athlete turned actor, because I knew about his history with the Oakland Raiders, where he was a linebacker at first and later became part of the secondary and their safety. But I didn't know that he actually majored in acting prior.
Yeah, that really blew my mind when I found that out, because of how a lot of these guys are positioned, like these action stars like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, famously, Arnold Schwarzenegger, famously, where they start out as athletes and then they meander over to acting. No, like he, was an acting major at San Diego State.
Jim Brown's another one like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I did not know that about Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. So focusing on his NFL career just for a minute, did you also know that John Elway was his coach?
When he was with the Raiders?
Yeah. Wait, no, John Madden. Sorry.
Yeah, John Madden. Yeah.
So I'm a football fan I am, but
John Elway's like he was a quarterback like a decade later. Yeah.
Yeah, a little embarrassed there.
But he was a great 8-year-old coach for the Raiders. It was awesome.
Yeah. But apparently they didn't get along, or John Madden didn't think too highly of Weathers is a football player in some ways. So just a little tidbit, just throwing that out there. But I did not know that. So that's one more thing. But anything else we want to discuss about his NFL career?
I don't know much about it except for that his athleticism obviously carried on to a lot of his roles, which is really cool.
You did. He kept himself in good shape.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, we'll get that right there. Bam.
Rocky IV promo.
Exactly.
That's where he looked his best. I mean, granted, there's like a 9-year difference between Rocky I and Rocky IV, but here, 85, when they're just all muscular, got rid of their chest hair and whatnot, and greased up like a pro wrestler. Yeah, they have bodies like Adonis's.
Yeah, but I actually want to talk about Rocky I. Even though I'm mixing and matching the photos here, when you think about Rocky I, the first Rocky film, what immediately comes to mind for you?
Well, okay, let me just say this first. Just like Zach, the first film I saw Carl Weathers in was Rocky IV. But to answer your question, Derek, the one thing that stands out to me the most, it's not even Carl Weathers, it's Paulie, really, to tell you the truth. Paulie, because of how Burt Young was just like carrying on through the whole film as a angry, belligerent drunk. The way he bullies his sister. Paulie, I have a turkey in the oven. Oh, you got a turkey. Hold up. With his bare hands, takes a piece off. Go in the alley and get the turkey. Rocco, you want some?
Paulie's such a piece of shit. It's so funny that he like becomes more of a friend, and it's like, no, he's abusing his sister in the first one, and then he's just in the later movies he's this lazy guy that mooches off Rocky. He's the villain of the series, is Paulie.
Yeah, he's a pretty good foil.
But as far as Apollo goes, what's it called? They try to make him look like Muhammad Ali in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true, and legend has it that was the inspiration. But I remember watching Rocky for the first time and wanting to hate Apollo, but you sort of can't. Like, he's actually a very likable, dynamic, great character, and a lot of that to me is down to Weathers, period, and his ability. Like, he chews the scenery. He's incredibly energetic. And again, he's supposed to be a villain, but he's not, which sort of makes the whole film even better.
I couldn't see him as a villain because seeing the fourth film in the series being my first entry in there, where him and Rocky are friends, it's kind of hard to see them as antagonists in the previous installments.
Yeah, and in the first, he's just like cocky, right? He's not really a villain. He's just, we want to see him lose, but like, we kind of get it. But I think that's, that is really what Carl Weathers is all about. This is his big breakthrough, and he's throughout his career, he's jacked, right? He goes not just toe to toe with Arnold and Stallone, but like starts off in both those movies as their superior, right? But then also he's as charming as somebody that could hypothetically play a Muhammad Ali type. You know what I mean? And I think that's that's a big deal. That's why he's so likable.
And another thing I liked about Apollo was his portrayal of Apollo was he's a showman, right? Puts on a show for the crowd, but he can fight. Dude, he's no bitch.
Yeah, you asked what we first thought about. That's that final fight, just like especially those last couple rounds where they're just like running around the ring. That's usually what I think about is the choreography between the two of them in that fight.
Absolutely. I think it's some of the best, especially for the era, right? Like there's so many boxing films, but I think that's one of the reasons Rocky stands out so much. It's the performance, it's the dancing, basically, right? That Weathers and Stallone do together. And it just, nowadays, I think you can find some gaps in it here and there. If you look at frame by frame, some pulled punches, of course, but what they do is just incredible. Just back and forth.
Especially in the second film, their rematch. That was the best fight of the whole series.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Let's go ahead and jump.
Well, except for that one street fight in Rocky V, but we don't talk about that movie. But I like that last street fight.
Did you see the director's cut of that, the deleted scene where him and Tommy shake hands?
No, I have not seen that. That's funny.
I'm glad they cut that out.
Tommy, that's a real villain.
Yeah, you keep that movie out of my mind.
Speaking of which, did he ever give Apollo's trunks back to Rocky, or find Adonis Creed and give them trunks back?
Yeah, no, they should have brought him back for Creed 3. Just be like, sorry.
Yeah, even though we can't wear these Daisy Dukes boxing trunks no more, yeah, it's more the thing.
But yeah, he should come back just to be punched.
Well, he would be, but he's dead. Tommy Morrison's dead.
Oh, well, that's true.
No bueno. But the second Rocky film. So they rematch. Rocky wins, becomes a champion. What stood out to you from that?
The Apollo's determination. I mean, Creed, he was more serious. In this film, he was determined to put Rocky down after the events that went down in the first film. The way he trained, the way he was more serious during press conferences, his smear campaign, and the final fight, especially the final round, right? Where Apollo's so determined to knock down Rocky to the point where even his trainer is in the corner pleading in tears, "Stay away from him! Get away from him!" But Creed is not listening. He's exhausted and is determined to put him down. But when he can't do it, when he doesn't get it back up in time, he proves to be a gracious loser and just hands Rocky the belt.
I love how I can feel the energy of the fight through you. Like, that's what it's all about, right?
That was the most emotional fight of the whole series, man. Of just watching that last round, how everybody in the audience was up. Even Rocky's old henchman, his employer, Gazzo, the dude that played Willie Chichi in the first two Godfathers.
Mm-hmm.
Even him getting up, "Get up, Rock, get up!"
Yeah. I just always remember them, God, just looking at each other through that makeup. And there's a certain point on Apollo's face where you can see like he knows he's going to lose, or he knows he can't do it. And it's just like this look of terror. But how do you give that look through makeup? You know what I mean? It's just such a great little piece of acting that he does in these great performances.
Yeah. And Rocky 2 shouldn't be a good sequel, because like one of the standout parts of the first one is that Rocky loses. So they're like, okay, we're gonna make a sequel. It's the same, but he wins. And like that's like, that feels like a cop-out. But I think, they're both really good in it, and it's fun seeing Apollo come back. It's great that he stayed in the series for as long as he did. And yeah, the second one, just that last fight's brutal. They're getting cut and stuff, and I really love that makeup.
And also another thing I noticed about Rocky 2 is the contrast that they show and how they train. Sort of like what they did in Rocky 4, where they juxtapose the Russians' high-tech equipment, Rocky's back to basics equipment in the snowy wilderness of Russia, when it's really Wyoming. But with the second film, they show Apollo just training in like these big-ass gymnasiums and whatnot, going through multiple sparring partners, while Rocky, he's just going in junkyards and like school playground equipment, and actually doing jogging with fucking Chuck Taylors on. How the hell do you jog with Chuck Taylors on? Do you not have any idea how many corns are going to be in your feet after that?
Yeah, I got flat feet. I need arch support.
Well, it's great because you can just feel how poor Rocky is, right?
He wasn't poor at that point no more. And Rocky 2, he had a little bit of money. And Rocky 1, that I get.
True. Still remember those egg drinks?
I tried that actually once. I tried that.
Nice. No, you did not.
I did. I'm like, let me see if this shit works. What it'll do to me. Like, I should not have ate no raw eggs. Should not have ate that. It does not taste right.
It's like eating slime.
It didn't make me throw up or nothing, but I just wanted to see how much energy it would give me if I just ate them uncooked. They're better solid.
All right. Anything else about Rocky 2 in particular?
What else? Weathers, the scene where his trainer Duke is telling him not to telling him they don't want to fight Rocky, right? And the look on Creed's face as he's hearing his trainer tell him this, he's contemplating it just for a second, right? Maybe he's right, but never mind. Thank you. And the way what his trainer said to him, "I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before, and the man kept coming after you." It's like he was more scared of Rocky than Apollo should have been.
Yeah, he was smart. He was always smart.
Even in the first one, he was scared of him. Like, "Champ, look at this boy you about to fight. He means business." Yeah, I mean business too. Shirley, give me some coffee.
Okay, Rocky 3. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Oh no, I was talking about Duke. I love in the Creed movies. They cast Wood Harris as his son. That's just great. Great casting. He's good in that.
Yeah, Lil Duke. That was a good touch. Continue on the legacy characters.
Just sons. It's just like Muppet Babies.
Well, that's the one. Babies. Well, that's the one genius element of Stallone, right? He keeps going. He does go back to the well, probably more than people should, but he does it in like the right way.
He does, yeah. Not in a way that's like overly indulgent fan service, like how Ghostbusters Afterlife was.
Exactly.
Yeah, and growing up when we did, I think we think of Stallone as this like dumb meathead. So it's I always have to like remind myself like, oh no, he wrote Rocky, like he knows story, like he actually like he's good at that type of thing.
Yeah,
no, he's actually a bit of a genius.
Yeah.
Gotta be shit.
Yeah, he did write Rocky. He did a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. He's directed.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a competent director,
and he can act when he wants to. Look at Copland.
Yeah,
so amazing in Copland. It's incredible.
Yeah, all that
awesome.
He said he ate like 6 stacks of pancakes every day to get that paunch in his belly.
I haven't seen that in a while.
And he talked about getting fat the way some people talk about losing their families. It was so fun watching ice cream and pancakes in my stomach. Oh, my stomach! It's like, dude, whatever. Shut up, man.
Like you can get rid of it quick the way you work out.
Yeah, but I think I think he knows a couple languages. Like he taught himself a couple languages, like Italian. But he's also, a hometown. He went to St. John the Evangelist in Silver Spring for a bit.
Briefly went to Blair too, didn't he?
Yeah. So he's a hometown kid. Legend has it he let off a cherry bomb in a toilet.
That's what I always heard too.
Mm-hmm.
I also know someone who's sort of related to him, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Okay. Rocky 3. Mr. T is the bad guy, right? Antagonist. They become friends. And this dude gives like one of the most amazing, Carl Weathers gives one of the most amazing speeches. It's actually resurfaced. And I think it was like memeing even before he passed. But there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That just gives feels, man. That whole scene.
Yeah, the whole scene where he's like, he's coming, and you see flashes of Clubber in the future coming at Rocky, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, God.
Such great editing work in these movies too.
And Apollo, he had been 3 years retired at this point, looking good as hell, still can play to the crowd. But at this point, he's friendly with Rocky. He's come to terms with his loss. Mostly, because we see what happens at the end of the film.
Yeah.
He's like, you owe me a favor, just a friendly rematch. I'm still gonna beat you.
But it's one of my favorite parts of the franchise. Like, and I think again it works because of Weathers' talent and Weathers' range. You end up running with it because again, throughout the series, he's not a terrible person. He's just doing his job well. You know what I mean?
And also, go ahead, Zach.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, if you insist. Okay. As a testament to what you were saying, Derek, like in the first Rocky film, when him and Stallone had to do their fights together and whatnot, Weathers became so frustrated with Stallone. He's like, get me somebody who's a real actor.
Yes, that's true.
That's funny.
And legend has it, that's the moment Stallone knew this was the guy. He's literally talking trash to me. It's my movie. I can't act. And let's wind that back because this dude's like a competitive athlete, right? Legit NFL player, Stallone, an actor, director, writer, but I mean, he sells being a boxer, right? He could actually box someone if he wanted to. Tremendous athlete. In that inertia, right? That athletic that I don't know. I'm trying to that athlete spirit and how that drives these men in these roles. It's really incredible to watch that, right? And I think you see that in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You see that in John Cena. I know those guys are wrestlers turned actors, sort of thing. But there's something about these guys that get on a field or jump and exercise at that top level. Like one time I saw John Cena doing squats in a video, and like his butt was literally touching the ground. That's really hard when you're squatting.
That is.
And it was like 315 on his back. But I don't know, man. That just watching these Titans go at it.
Yeah, and I mean, think about this with Carl Weathers specifically, like, and this scene that you have up. Like, if you watch Stallone run, it looks like he's training for something, right? You watch Carl Weathers run, it looks like somebody who played sports running. Like, I think that's a
Yeah.
big difference between him too. Like when I was watching Action
Yeah.
Jackson, there's the scene where he chases after the taxi cab and he's catching up with the cab. It's ridiculous. But he's wearing a suit and his chest is so broad. And I was just thinking, like, you don't really see, even though Stallone is famous for like the running up the steps and stuff, you don't see someone like Stallone or Schwarzenegger like run like that. Like it's just like he has a different, physical attitude than them. And I think that's why he works in a lot of these scenes.
Yeah,
His
it's
athleticism,
a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
his athleticism really shows, and as an inverse of what you said before, Derek, about all these athletes that got turned on to acting, and sometimes some of the actors they play their athletic roles so good that they can actually go pro, like Robert De Niro in Raging Bull when he played Jake LaMotta.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked so legit that even LaMotta thought he could go pro.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. That's why I think these guys are two great polls, right? And Stallone is an actor turning into a boxer. And Weathers is a legit actor. He went to school for acting. But he's got such natural ability. Even when he did it himself, like he sort of decided, I'm more of an athlete, I'll go for the NFL. But then he came and did the Hollywood stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that dynamic play out on screen over the course of these movies. It's really incredible.
Yeah. And you said that your friendship was your, kind of that part of the friendship in Rocky III was your favorite part of the franchise. My favorite part, also Carl Weathers, also Rocky III, but it's just the end when he goes ding ding, and then they're about to throw the punches. That's
And then
that's it.
the camera goes still, like symbolizing like equal greatness of the fight.
Yeah, and that turns into the painting. I love that.
Yeah, the swagger though. You're right. Ding.
And the way he just moves before he's about to lay the punch on Rocky, like the way you ready?
Yeah.
Boom. And then freeze. Like I wish there's a director's cut for that fight, a whole deleted scene for that, because that would have been good to watch.
Yeah.
Even though we know how it turned out based on what we saw in the first Creed.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We already knew how it turned out based on the beginning of Rocky IV.
Yeah, that moment is when Rocky IV starts.
Yeah, when he comes home to his son, it's like, who gave you that hat? Oh, a friend gave it to me. You like it? Who punched you in the eye? Same friend. Yeah, they told us back then that Apollo won that fight.
That's awesome.
So I'm trying to share this as we go. But also I want to touch on Mr. T real quick, because I mean Rocky III is one of my favorites because of Mr. T.
Ultimate troll.
He's so good in this. He is so good in this. And that man as well. Just I didn't do his biography before coming on here, but do y'all know anything about Mr. T, his background, where he came from?
Born and raised in Chicago, the youngest of multiple children raised in the projects. But he was a star athlete in high school and got he got a scholarship to college, an athletics scholarship. Later on, he became more of a bodyguard to celebrities with his physique.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And because of that, that's what led to movie roles, including.
Yeah. He won the national bouncer competition or something like that.
There's a bouncer competition.
He was like like Dalton from Roadhouse. He was like there was a world bouncer championship, I think, in the late 70s, and he won it, apparently.
Wow, that's awesome.
And as far as his character goes in Rocky III, Clubber Lang, it's like we didn't even. I thought to myself, what kind of mother names her child Clubber? I mean, did you hate him or something? But we later learned in the franchise his real name is James. But as far as his portrayal of Clubber Lang in Rocky III goes, he's the ultimate troll. I mean, he antagonized Rocky harder than anybody else. And at the unveiling of his statue, when he starts talking all that shit to Rocky, it's not really getting to him until he goes for that man's wife. You want to piss off an Italian, go for their wife. Y'all know that.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So
and Adrian was sitting there considering it for a minute. She was like, he's like, I bet you dream of having a real man every night, don't you? She's like, ooh. And then cops had tried to hold Clubber back after Rocky tried to go at him. It took 2 cops, and Clubber looked like he could have shook them dudes off of him easily.
Yeah. That's the one where his acting isn't great because it feels like he's holding back a little. I'm like, you can.
That whole dialogue, from that scene has been sampled multiple times over. Everything Clubber Lang was saying, he just talked so much shit. It's like a second language.
Yeah.
Well, he was real, dude. Mr. T was real, and then that just launched his entire career, man. Another 80s icon, early 90s. Was he? He faded in the early 90s, right?
I only from the 90s. All I remember seeing him in was some Sprint commercials that he did.
There you go. Cool.
A-Team and what's it called? What was it? He did WrestleMania 1. He was in that when he fought.
Rowdy Piper. Was. Yeah.
He fought Rowdy Piper in a boxing match.
Okay. All right. Now let's go to Rocky 4. Now this is from Rocky 1. Image from Rocky 1. But this is going to represent Rocky 4. Thoughts on Rocky 4?
My favorite one, my first intro to the series, but not the best Rocky film. Yeah, it's like a music video, a colorful music video, all the way through. The soundtrack, they didn't mention Mickey not once in this movie at all, curiously. But Apollo, this is where he looked his best, I thought, where he looked his best physically. I look at him in that Uncle Sam outfit, doing them dances in Las Vegas with James Brown and whatnot. I'm like, good God, you are cut. You are beautifully sculpted.
Yeah.
He was an Adonis, ironically enough. I know they use that name later. But I mean, it's such a it's the most American thing ever. When he's dancing around, living in America, it's incredible, man.
He was hyping that. Basically, he was just fueling that. He didn't know it, but he was fueling that Russian to actually kill him in the ring. Like, welcome to America, commie. He's like, okay, get in the ring. Watch what I do to you.
But that's Dolph Lundgren's intro to the world, so to speak. But it also does a great job with him. Like, as opposed to Clubber Lang, you almost feel like Ivan Drago's like this caged animal. Like that's how Stallone treats him in the movie. Because I think he did direct Rocky 4, right?
He did. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like he treats him like King Kong, which is great. It's like this great like juxtaposition there. Like the flashes are going off. He doesn't know what to do. And then he just gets in there and whoops ass.
And the tension between Rocky and Drago is like it doesn't come to a head until they actually fight. Never mind the times they've been next to each other at press conferences.
Yeah.
And also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, this was Dolph Lundgren's first film, wasn't it?
It's not. It's damn close. And then Brigitte Nielsen as well. And I don't know. Let's stick with Dolph Lundgren in this movie.
And they're not even Russians in real life. They're like what, Swedes?
Yeah, I think both. Brigitte Nielsen's crazy now, but yeah, they're both like Scandinavian.
I'm sure she was pretty crazy then too.
I know. It's why Stallone only had her for 2 years straight.
Well, there's a funny story about her and how he got together with her.
He cheated, right?
I think they both did. I don't know.
They both were cheating on their spouses, I think. But
how they met was, I think she gave his brother a picture of her, or she found his room and slid her picture under the door, something like that.
I've heard that. Yeah, slid the picture. Yeah,
picture under the door, and he's like, "Whoa!"
What a nude picture or something? It must have been.
I don't know what her career was. I don't know if she was ever in Playboy or if that's the equivalent of like Instagram or something, Snapchat.
Snapchat. Just run into an apartment building and slide all your pictures. I'm sharing. Double tap it to like it.
Photocopies of yourself under all the doors.
Mm-hmm.
It's called social media.
That's what it was back then. Mm-hmm.
You got Red Sonja, yeah. Red Sonja, you see in there in the chat.
Cobra, she did that.
Cobra, she was just a stunner all around in all those movies, man. Just a stunner. Oh my God. Still. And then she was in Beverly Hills Cop 2. Tony Scott directed that.
Oh yeah, the tall, statuesque blonde.
Psh, dude.
He asked her, Eddie Murphy asked her, do you need help shaving your legs sometime, baby? All
right, well, let's
one more thing about Brigitte. Did you ever see the roast of Flavor Flav where she was a part of the dais for that?
Yeah, I remember that era.
Oh, I remember what's it called? What Greg Giraldo said to her. He said, if you want to stop with all the disgusting things that you've been doing your whole career, why not just get your pussy sewn shut?
Damn. Okay.
God damn. I know it's a roast, but god damn.
Lit.
But
So
what were you? Go ahead.
I don't know. Just to go back to here. I'm sorry. Just Rocky IV, right? So introduces Dolph Lundgren. Those montages, man. Of all the Rocky films, I don't know. I could say each one is my favorite up until the fourth, right? But the fourth one has this energy, right? And it starts out with Weathers and that video. I'm sort of repeating myself here, but his death, his performance going up against Rocky, Drago, the physicality he brought to it, and then his absence after that in the rest of the series, I think just really speaks to the incredible job he did over those four movies, the incredible acting, the incredible performance. Yeah.
It's felt. I mean, his absence, even in the Creed franchise, it's felt. I mean, did you know in Rocky Balboa, the sixth one, he actually wanted a live action part in that film, even though his character was dead.
Yeah, I did hear that. And it's just, I think Stallone just came out and said if he could do it all over again, he wouldn't have killed Creed. He wouldn't have killed Apollo.
Yeah, and they gave it away in the trailer for Rocky IV as well too. What was going to happen? They showed.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, in the original theatrical trailer, they actually show like all the scenes that we see in the trailer. They were added to the Rocky director's cut, right? All the different angles that we didn't see in the theatrical version. Yeah, and they showed him getting killed in the trailer. Like, why? Well, it felt like a little too much, a little bit of a spoiler, a little bit, but. Yeah. But it's a point in the film that drives the plot, I guess.
Yeah, but it says a lot about Carl Weathers that, like, if that's, Rocky IV can be your first one and you can still be shocked that, without having the history, like, oh man, I can't believe they killed this great character. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a big thing about his performance.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So maybe just before we go into the next one, which is going to be huge. So Ivan Drago, Red Sonja is in there.
And this is the first Rocky movie where he actually beats up a white guy too. Not no scary black dudes.
That's right.
Yeah, because Hulk Hogan picked him up and threw him. That wasn't
thunderless. Like that. I don't think Hogan was that much bigger than Stallone either.
Dude, that really freaks me out. Thinking about that whole size difference between Hogan and Stallone, man. Like you forget how big those guys are until you really see it like that. Because Stallone's not short. He's 5'10". He's like as tall as I am.
Yeah, it's like an inch taller than me. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But just I want to touch on his earlier stuff because we did talk about that before the chat got going. So Zach, you actually watched his like blaxploitation experiences, right?
Yeah, he's pretty small in both of them. But Bucktown is a really fun movie. Okay. That's like they ripped it off with Vigilante Force. But it's about like a guy comes to his hometown, a small town in the South. Pam Grier's in it too. The guy is Fred Williamson, also another ex-football player. So they're trying to clean up the streets because there's a lot of like crime and stuff. So he calls some old army buddies to come help, and the old army buddies take over the town, and they're even worse. So then he has to fight the old army buddies. And I think Carl Weathers is one of like the henchman. He's not like the main bad guy. I think his name's Hambone in it. But he's pretty fun in that. And Friday Foster, I think he just plays a cop. He only has like a scene or two.
Cool. And what about Force 10 from Navarone? Because that comes out this period too.
Yeah, that actually, I watched that for this discussion. It's kind of
bring it up. I made you do this, so did you watch all these movies?
Yeah, it's kind of a sequel to Guns of Navarone, but not really because nobody's really the same. But he plays an army medic that like escapes from the military police. He's not even like part of the mission to go behind enemy lines and like kill this Nazi. But he just kind of joins and just ends up being like one of the most important. He's like killing people and doing all this stuff, helping Harrison Ford and Robert Shaw. But he's good at it because he's sort of the audience surrogate because he doesn't really know what's going on. and they, he's got a pretty big role actually. It's post Rocky, so it kind of makes sense. People knew who he was, but he didn't do a lot in between those. So, but it's a fun movie, a lot of explosions, and he beats some people up. He's a good commanding presence in it. And again, it's kind of about his physicality and his charm are really some of the through lines of his career.
Oh, it's got Richard Kiel in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Richard Kiel plays a Chechen separatist who secretly works with the Nazis. And they have a fight. I think he kills Richard Kiel in it.
Oh wow.
Carl Weathers does.
He was in what's it called? Some James Bond movies, right?
Yeah, he was also in Happy Gilmore, which we'll get
to. Yeah.
Well,
That's like a weird reunion for them then.
It was a reunion. I wonder if they talked about it. Richard Gere's also, because he's like Eastern European, he's only seen white people before, so he's like pretty racist to him. So there's sort of like a comeuppance when they fight at the end and Carl Weathers gets to kill him.
Cool. Oh wow. Okay. God, I was gonna say something, but then it like totally. Oh, how's Harrison Ford in it? Because
he's good. He's quiet. He's kind of like he's the leader of the mission. And they bring these like British people who also have a mission, and they're like working together. But Harrison Ford like hates the British people, and Harrison Ford's entire platoon dies. So it's just Harrison Ford, Robert Shaw, and Edward Fox, who are the two British guys that he's like following, or who he's like bringing along because he was ordered to, and then Carl Weathers, who he doesn't even know, just like stowed away on the mission. So it's Harrison Ford's also like very grumbly. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I don't want any of these people to be here. I don't like any of these people. So it's a good Harrison Ford role.
Sounds like he just played himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, so we got to talk about Force 10 from now on.
I'm glad. I watched it just yesterday.
Cool. That's when I finished Action Jackson. So
nice.
All right. We talked about that. Let's move on to. Okay. Boom.
Woo.
Predator.
This movie. Let's talk about this moment right here. Just this moment and what this means for men, masculinity, patriotism, racial unity. I think this image heals wounds
and a slight pissing contest.
It's one of the most iconic shots. But
it's been made, you can find that on a T-shirt at TeePublic, actually.
Dude, it's everywhere. It's people use this. This explains like economics. Like it's used as like a Venn diagram. It's just incredible. But of course, I'm talking about Predator, right?
Yeah.
This movie, I'll start off with this. Predator is one of the first movie monsters that ever scared me.
Really?
I remember watching TV, during a party, and the whole scene. He's in the trees. The yellow lights flash from his eyes. Just scared the hell out of me when I was a kid watching this movie. So this, and then obviously growing up as a teenager, rediscovering it, being inspired by it, and as an adult, and I'll shut up in a second. I want you guys to sound off too. But as an adult, seeing it transcend into not just a great action movie, but people just recognize it now as a great movie, right? And anyway, I'll stop and just you guys go ahead.
It was a fun film for me. I remember I first saw it at my babysitter's place back when I was 5 years old in 1988. She just let us watch whatever, right? And I remember seeing Schwarzenegger and Apollo Creed in the same movie, and Jesse the Body. I'm like, what is this about? And I'm just seeing these men sweating in this jungle and this alien predator just stalking them like one by one. And it's like, it left me on the edge of my seat. Like, what is going to happen? And the scene where Carl Weathers' character, Dylan, gets his arm lasered off by the predator, and his arm was holding a gun and still firing the gun. That's the part that's going to freak me out.
Iconic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite images of the Predator set. I want to talk about that too, the behind the scenes stuff. But him sitting next to Van Damme. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know if I've seen that picture.
Okay. Well, Zach, go ahead. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Well, anyway, what are your thoughts about Predator, period?
I mean, Predator's is one of the best movies of all time. But yeah, it's great, and I love that introduction. Dylan, you son of a bitch, and it's about because we know that we know mostly who Carl Weathers is at that point, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is the biggest star in the world, and it's about being like they are equal, and they're huge and masculine and badass, and this alien is going to come and rip them to shreds, and it's really about like, hey, look how cool these guys are, so that's how scary this one is, which is why that movie's so effective.
Yeah, well, it does the same thing Dusk Till Dawn does.
Yeah,
right? It's one movie
yeah,
until it's a completely different film.
yeah.
And that first thing does everything it does to set up the second part, so it just like adds layers to it and depth that it's deceptively deep for such a simple film. Right, but this foil that he creates as a character, which is so different to Apollo, right? Yeah. Like he actually he should be a bad guy in this, but again, they're all in the stuff, so to speak. So it doesn't really ascend to that level, but he is the bad guy. He's the bureaucracy, right?
A bureaucrat out there in the field. Yeah, I'll give him that.
Exactly.
And also,
but he's also those like. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you also know the voice for the Predator was Peter Cullen?
Yes. Yeah. Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, there's an amazing clip on YouTube of him making the Predator voice.
Oh, really?
I need to see that.
Blew my mind how talented that man is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but Zach, what I was referring to, I don't know if you had a time to find
it. Yeah, I pulled it up. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if I could. Let me try.
Jean-Claude Van Damme has like the arm makeup on.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's got like a Predator sleeve, and Carl Weathers just sitting right next to him.
Yes. Let me see.
That's cool.
Just for a second, don't arrest me. There. So Van Damme, look, and his arm's gone. This is so amazing, man.
Oh, we don't see it. I don't see it. We don't see it on our end.
You can't see it. Oh no.
No.
Screw up the. I want to screw up the stream.
That is funny. His arm is missing. I didn't even notice that part.
So, fun fact: as part of a movie that was full of fun facts, I should have included them in this. Anyway, I'm still learning, guys. Van Damme was originally the bad guy in Predator, and he basically looked like a giant insect. That was the original Predator monster. But legend has it that who's the famous special effects guy? You know him.
Stan Winston.
Stan Winston was on a plane with James Cameron flying somewhere, and Winston was redoing the monster because John McTiernan was like, we can't do this. This looks ridiculous. We're going to fail. It was having a conniption fit. And James Cameron looks over his shoulder at what Stan Winston was doing and said, you know what would look really cool? Like mandibles, like on a crab or something. I haven't seen that in a movie. And then he walks off. And boom, gets the idea for the greatest monster, one of the greatest movie monsters of all time. Go ahead, Si.
As far as Van Damme goes in the film, what's it called? He was the original guy in the Predator suit, but of course he thought it was too hot. So as far as the finished product goes, all the scenes where we see the Predator invisible with the infrared, that's Van Damme actually.
Oh, wow. So he is technically in the movie?
Yeah.
Does he is he credited though?
I don't think so. I think Kevin, the guy that played the Predator for most of the movie, Kevin something, I think he got it.
Kevin Richardson? Is that it? Or Kevin?
No, not Kevin Richardson. That's a Backstreet Boy.
Let's see. We got to go to IMDb.
He's also in Harry and the Hendersons. I know that much.
Yes.
He plays Harry.
He is.
Yeah.
Kevin Peter Hall.
Kevin Peter Hall, yes.
There he is. Yeah, he's right there. Kevin Peter Hall.
Kevin Richardson's a Backstreet Boy. What if they remade Predator with the Backstreet Boys?
They'd all be killed since they got the surviving skills of Boy Scouts.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was uncredited as a body double.
It'll be about the music producer that put them together, and they'll call it Sex Predator.
Nice.
Okay, that'd be a hell of a what if mashup.
Is the guy named Lou Pearlman or whatever? I bet he was sketchy.
Oh yeah, the producer.
Where is this going?
It's a podcast. We tend to veer off topic, but
No, I love it. Feed me. Yes, give me this negative energy. So, all right, one more. Let's just stay here. Let's just stay here because this movie is so good. This movie has probably the best making of featurette of all time. Have y'all watched it?
I've seen clips of it. Like that's where I've seen some of the Jean-Claude footage, but that's it.
Clips. Yeah, and honestly, as far as the Predator franchise goes, this is the only one I have in my collection. The rest of them have not stood to par with this one. Even Alien vs. Predator, which I liked.
I love Predator 2 myself. I love Predator 2. But
Predator, that was supposed to be 1997. I'm like, good God, that didn't look like nothing like the real 97.
Not at all. But
not futuristic at all.
But this making a featurette for this movie, oh my God, it's incredible. It is, and it's worth buying the DVD if you can find it, or the Blu-ray or whatever. Stallone talking trash on Jesse Ventura, who's talking trash on Stallone, who's talking trash, producers who are in awe of these titans they get to work with. Carl Weathers talking about working out, getting a pump before getting on screen, running 5 miles a day with Schwarzenegger or something. Just the stories for this thing are just incredible.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
Ventura got smart with this film. This is like one of his first feature films, I think. And I think because he knew that his time in the WWF was limited, he got himself a SAG, a Screen Actors Guild card, so he could get paid. So he wanted to get paid like the like the standard labor amount for
SAG minimum or whatever.
Yeah, the SAG minimum, exactly. Yeah. So that helped him out for the rest of his career, even after he got canned by the WWF.
Smart man. I mean, Jesse Ventura. Yeah, I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah, it's a great.
And Shane Black wrote this too. He is.
I think that's a myth. I don't think he did.
You don't think Shane Black didn't write this?
No. It was written by like two.
No, it wasn't written by him. He was in the film.
Yeah, he's in it.
I think Legend has it. He just did a bunch. I have a lot of Legend has it stories, but he mostly did Blow with Joel Silver or something like that. That was his real contribution to storytelling.
Yeah, listen, he definitely wrote those two pussy jokes he tells in the movie.
Yeah, that's what he really did.
Anything you find in the film that's clever dialogue, he probably has something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything he said, he probably wrote on set.
I swear, I love his dialogue in Last Action Hero. I could quote that shit for days. I mean, Last Boy Scout.
Oh, Last Boy Scout. Yeah, I love that movie.
Fantastic movie, and the same era. But I mean, we could go on and on. I mean, Bill Duke in this movie.
Bill Duke rules.
Bill Duke.
God, man, Bill Duke in this movie, such a great performance.
Director of Sister Act 2.
Just straight shaving with.
No, he did not. He did not. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
He did. He what?
He directed Sister Act 2.
Oh, he did.
That's my favorite one.
I just think it's such a weird person to have directed Sister Act 2. He's directed a couple. You think he did? Did he do Deep Cover 2? I don't know, but Sister Act 2.
I don't know if he did Deep Cover, but I just remember what did he say? Like, no, you done fucked up, right?
Yeah.
He's still alive too.
Yeah, he was in a High Flying Bird, that Soderbergh movie.
Mm-hmm. He was.
He directed Deep Cover. Yeah.
He did direct that. Okay. He was in the remake of Manhunter. What was it? Red Dragon. He was in that too.
Oh yeah. Bill Duke's a fun screen presence. I like him.
Oh my God, he's an amazing screen presence. And then John McTiernan. He did such a good job with this. And my favorite part, again, the behind the scenes, he is such a theater guy. And you just picture this theater guy working with these meatheads.
Yeah.
I mean, Weathers was a legit actor, right?
Yeah.
He's sort of a great foil to Schwarzenegger, because Schwarzenegger really is an athlete turned actor, whereas Weathers was an actor-athlete who turned into an actor, who turned into an athlete, then turned into an actor. But McTiernan's just so I'm making the movie and everything's falling apart constantly. And it's just wonderful seeing a director work through those problems, talk about those problems that movies have and all the rework they had to do on this, because he goes from this to Die Hard, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, directly.
Yeah, so let's use this as an opportunity. So Carl Weathers with Predator forms a good relationship with Joel Silver, relationship, excuse me. And then he does this with Joel Silver, right?
Jericho
Awesome.
Jackson. This is dope.
This movie is nuts. Right. So, all right. So, Zach, why don't you go first for this one, just to change it up a little bit? But go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that this movie's super fun. I like that it's kind of, and this is also, I think, a big part of his like charm and like kind of like free feeling likability is that because it plays like a comedy a lot, especially in the third act. But it's also a legit action movie. Like it's very pretty straightforward the plot, and it's just a lot of fun. And I love that he's wearing like a suit or a tuxedo for most of it. Like he's kind of a buttoned up cop, but at the same time he breaks all the rules.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool just seeing someone that big, like wearing a suit, like it shows his size, which is important, but also he's got that, kind of great physicality.
Yeah. Sai, what are your thoughts, Sai?
I like how they try to make him look like an Ubermensch in the film too, not just as an athletic, decorated police officer in the Detroit Police Department, but also he went to Harvard as well too. They try to show that he's got brains and brawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I remember watching this a long time ago, and excuse me, and it sort of came and went, right? But now I watch it, and I have this weird swirl of emotions. Like I think this might be the most quintessentially 80s film. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a great film because it has weird. It's a little weird, but as a foil to like Die Hard. It's really crazy because these movies came out in the same year. I think they have the same stunt crews. You literally there are literal diehard henchmen who show up in this movie. They actually get like more roles than they even had in Die Hard. And on one hand,
I don't think Al Young has any lines in Die Hard, but
yeah, he gets shot in the best way possible. But, he also gets a Snickers bar, but. But what I was going to say, it's part blaxploitation film, which I think is incredible because that's sort of how Carl Weathers gets his start, right? But it's like a smart blaxploitation film. It's a detective thriller. It's a crazy action movie, and it's a comedy. And I really like the script. I was legitimately laughing my ass off at some parts of this movie. But at the same time, it's like something's telling me this doesn't work. And Craig T. Nelson does great. Sharon Stone is so serious. Like she's not in on the jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, like when she dies, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was really shocked actually that she died.
Yeah. But and then I'm sorry, I'm just gonna drone on for a minute. But also it discusses heroin in like the funniest way possible.
Yeah. But it also leads to like the biggest black mark on the movie, which is Vanity is not great in it.
Nah, she's eye candy, and she's just known for her time of Prince.
But she's trying to do comedy, but she's like playing this like drugged out, sort of fast talking chick, and it doesn't work.
Well, dude, that's what I'm saying. One of my favorite lines of Action Jackson is she's got a sweet tooth. It's like that's the kindest way to talk about a heroin addiction I've ever freaking heard.
Sweet tooth.
She's got a sweet tooth. Watch out. And then like the supporting cast is like all corny, but dude, she's on heroin. And at the end of the movie, again, spoilers, but just watch the film. It doesn't matter. She's like, yeah, I just went cold turkey. Do you want Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's that.
And I'm looking at like
That's a dad joke.
You did heroin 6 hours ago. Like,
so funny.
That is not cold turkey at all.
Do you want Thanksgiving like that? When did the cold turkey part become sexual?
Like I said, that whole thing, that whole wordplay is a dad joke.
There's that one-liner he's got. He's like, "Do you like barbecue?"
Yes.
Do you like the ribs?
How do you like ribs? Go ahead, Si. What are you gonna say?
I was just going laughing at what you guys were laughing
at. Dude, this movie is wonderful. This movie is wonderful, and it's a real, but again, it's a great it's a weird contrast to Die Hard, which came out in the same year, which really plays it straight, right?
Yeah.
Like Die Hard has tongue-in-cheek moments, like that are hinted at by the music of the movie more than anything, like little flusters. It's almost a Christmas film, you know. And then you have this, which is like, dude, they're just throwing stuff against the wall. Oh, and Zach, you made this point before. I mean, dude, what a unit Carl Weathers is in this movie. Like he literally chases down a car. Right.
And at one point the car is coming full speed at him, and he does like a little front, like a gymnast front flip over it, and just lands on the other side. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's silly. It's not, believable in that sense, but like it's believable because again, he knows how to move in a way that sells it. Like if I was watching a Stallone do that, I'd be like, oh, that's a silly, cheesy thing. But seeing Carl Weathers, like, oh, I bet, just like watching him sprint down the car, I'm like, oh, maybe he could go for short term as fast as that car is going for a second.
No, but that's what I love about it. Like the car loses.
Yeah, I mean he's neck and neck with that car for a little bit too long. I'm like, what the?
Yeah. What else? Sonny Lanham taking the whole heroin injection and not caring.
Yeah, that's part's funny. And he throws him out a window.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
You notice that what's it called later on down the line, like Halle Berry, she kind of looks like how Vanity looked in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, they look similar. Sure.
Yeah, and she's playing a similar type of character in some of her movies too, where she's kind of like, oh, I don't give a shit, I'll just talk shit to the cop. Like she does a lot of that, or she did a lot of that for a second.
Yeah, go ahead, Si. I'm sorry.
Even the cover right here, where you see her like all held by Craig T. Nelson's character, I'm like, is that Halle or Vanity?
Yeah. And it's real similar to the character she plays. We're just talking about Last Boy Scout.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
She's kind of like, don't bother me, cop, more serious cop, but I'll, I guess I'll help you a little bit because I'm invested in this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite things about Action Jackson too is there's a scene like halfway through where we see Craig T. Nelson like sparring in his living room with some guy, and that scene's only in there because he's going to have to fist fight Carl Weathers later, and like we have to believe that it might be a fair fight. like if Craig T. Nelson was just this like businessman, and then the last scene they have to fight, I'm just like, one punch and he's crumpled to the ground. Like he's
yeah. This movie is such a gem. It's really a shame that it didn't do better at the box office. But again, like Die Hard took films in I don't know, maybe more serious action films at the time.
Well, Die Hard has a lot of self-awareness in there too, as well. Like the scene where like Endo, him and Endo and the other guy, the Southern guy, they're like, "You take that side, I'll take the other." Okay. Fuck it, let me get him Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah. And the Southern guy, the guy that does the receptionist role, pretends to be the receptionist in Die Hard. He's also a henchman in Action Jackson.
He is. He's
like the main henchman, kind of. Like he ends up being one of the main guys.
Oh yeah, the Ninja Squad in Action.
The guy that looks like Huey Lewis. That's how it was referred to.
Yeah. Dylan. I think it's Dylan Howard. Nah, I looked today, but again, I should have done better work with the presentation, guys. I'm sorry. But
if you're talking about Last Boy Scout, it's funny. My DVD of Action Jackson also comes with Last Boy Scout.
Nice. Oh, really? Those are the best.
This is a pretty good set. I like this one.
Those are the best. Yeah, I used to rack up on those. Do they still do that at Walmart?
I think they do. Target and Best Buy stopped selling physical media, but I think Walmart might still have it.
Yeah, so you got to go to like mom and pop stores to get physical media now. That or Amazon.
Yeah.
I just realized this is in Italian. Film per tutti.
Oh, that's funny. I can't. Oh yeah, film per tutti.
Film per tutti. Okay. Anything else? Anything else about this? I mean, early Sharon Stone role.
Early for her. Yeah, even though she was in that William Shatner detective show, I saw her in that.
T.J. Hooker.
Yeah, T.J. Hooker. Yeah.
I never watched
the episode Hollywood Starlet, I think the title was called. Nice. Yeah, Sharon Stone was in that.
T.J. Hooker's a pretty fun show. Yeah, I think you'd like it, Derek.
Sure. Anything with Shatner, man.
With Shat.
The Shat. Dude, talk about it. We're getting off topic now. Talk about amazing. That dude is still going.
Yeah, he's so
amazing.
spry. What's he 94?
94.
Yeah, he's
Something like that.
sharp as a tack. He literally went to space. I mean, dude, you just fall more in love with that guy as he gets older.
Yeah, I saw his live stage show, and he was, I think, 89 at that point. Maybe he was 90. And he like dances on stage, like he's going at it. Oh, he's 92 now.
Never mind. I just lost him.
He's a young buck.
Dude, I want to know his diet. Like, how does he eat? I mean,
from the look of him, I bet there's a lot of cheese.
Some surgery in there too.
Probably. I mean, I want his doctor. Dude,
I mean, what's it between him and like Robert Duvall, who's the same age as him? It's like Duvall's just letting this says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna age naturally."
Well, I mean, that's his.
I mean, they're the two oldest actors I can think of. That's why I brought that up.
I will just to go
Dick
back.
Van Dyke's still around, and he's like 98 now. Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah,
he's still alive.
Yeah, and he like does interviews. He was campaigning for Bernie last election.
Oh wow, interesting.
He's 98.
How do I always confuse him and Dick Clark? I don't know what it is.
He danced in the Mary Poppins remake, I think. Like,
yeah, that sounds right. And that he would have been 93 then. Wow,
what a unit. Again, I need to know what they're eating. All right, so we can move on from this.
But the thing, I think it's important because Action Jackson, and maybe this will segue into what you're about to say, but like should have been Carl Weathers being the lead of a bunch of action movies from that point on. Like, there should be at least a couple sequels. There should be, other types of franchises, and there really weren't. And it's so weird because he's great in it. He's fun, he's funny, and he's a good action hero. So
we'll jump to this image, obviously, but before we dive into this part of his life, right, or this part of his career, my thesis is that we were robbed of Carl Weathers in the 90s, right there with Stallone.
That's not me.
Who am I forgetting? Chuck Norris. Sorry, my brain's not working.
Everybody from the Expendables.
Everybody from the Expendables, basically. He should have been in there. Like, we were robbed of that. Legend has it that.
Yeah, why wasn't he in the Expendables? It's bullshit, Stallone.
Yeah, well, gotta. That's Stallone's fault, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Also, the producers on there are a little weird, like all that backstory with those movies. But for supposedly he had a falling out with Joel Silver, and that was it. And then he was relegated to the bleacher seats. We tried to do some research on that literally together, and I remember him talking about that. Right around when the Creed movies came out, he spoke about how he was blacklisted in Hollywood because of Joel Silver or something allegedly. This is all allegedly behind the scenes. They had a falling out or something. And for whatever reason, he wasn't a star anymore. Also, Action Jackson didn't do that well. So
it did pretty well. I think it's like a 15. It was like a 15 million budget or something, and it made like 60 million in the box office. I remember I was some Letterbox review was like, it made money. Why didn't it do more? It's weird.
Let's take a look here. Domestic opening. Oh, I don't know. I might have to challenge you here.
Oh, domestic is at 20 million.
Domestic opening 5.
He only had 2 movies in the 90s.
Yeah, it made 20 million. That's not bad.
Yeah, it isn't bad. That's a money maker. Mm-hmm. So then he was just blacklisted then.
He only 2 movies, but he spent more time in TV shows. Well, like you said, Joel Silver, he may have had something to do with it.
Yeah, and some of these are like made for TV movies. Like 2 of them I watched just for this. They're not great.
Yeah, but he did have a rich television career.
Yes.
Right? And he was working. He did stuff behind the scenes until and then on the screen, Happy Gilmore, right? That's what we're looking at. This is the infamous golf film, amazing comedy. Did you guys watch this?
Yeah, I watched it when it came out.
Yes, I did. I had it on Blu-ray.
Shooter.
Chubbs. It was weird seeing him in this film after so many dramatic roles, but he proved he's got comedic chops. I mean, and that translated later into the next century too, with things like Arrested Development and
We'll get there. Let's start. So Happy Gilmore is like an iconic golf film, right? It's like Caddyshack, Tin Cup, something else. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, and then Happy Gilmore, right? And a part of it, yeah, I think you're right. His range here, like, I think it's a real, like, we always give actors credit for serious roles, but when actors are able to be funny, that's really a different skill set at a certain.
It is like De Niro. I didn't think he could be funny until I saw Midnight Run. And even the people from Law & Order SVU, specifically Mariska Hargitay and Chris Maloney, they've got comedic chops. They're funny, actually.
Yeah, the another one that stands out for me is Ryan Reynolds. Like, have you watched behind the scenes stuff with Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Dude, one of my favorite jokes is from Deadpool. And he walks on set. He walks in front of the camera. He goes, "It smells like the inside of my grandma's vagina in here." And everyone bursts out laughing, number one. And then someone says, "Was that in the script?" Like, was that in the script?
That's funny.
Ryan Reynolds, he just has
the setup. It's all fake in Hollywood. But it's like, dude, if he came up with that's comedy, right?
He has uncontrollable wit.
Yeah. So, but just to bring it back here, dude, he's got this freaking hand, like this wooden hand. And
is that a Predator reference, you think?
Oh,
dude, that is deep.
That's the arm that got chopped off. Yeah.
That's a deep cut. Whoa.
Like very meta reference. Even for back then, that's very, very slick.
Yeah, but warm, loving, funny, self-aware, self-effacing. I mean, dude, it's a legendary role. And Shooter McGavin reunites with Richard Kiel. We talked about that sort of in a way. Adam Sandler. I mean, this was his best movies were this era, and he was definitely a part of it, right? I didn't dive into why Sandler cast him for this. Maybe he was just a Rocky fan or something.
He cast him twice after this too, like in other films. 8 Crazy Nights and Little Nicky. He was in those.
That's true. I didn't know. I should have included those, but
yeah, it is funny. And I think, but it's also not surprising that he was good at comedy because, like, he came onto the scene because he was good at trash talking Stallone, and then he played, a Muhammad Ali type who was, good at doing that type of thing. So it's like that's always been kind of his core competency, was being sort of like fast and funny and interesting and easy to watch on camera. So it's cool. He what he needed like a Twins or something to come out after Action Jackson, and maybe he would have kept staying in the 90s, like being able to do action and comedy together the way that someone like Schwarzenegger did.
Well, I think that goes back to the blacklisting, right?
Yeah.
I think that he definitely there's something we were robbed of. And I'm just going to, I just want to put it like that. He was robbed of a generation of talent not being taken advantage of. Like, I think you're 100% right, Zach. He could have starred in a Twins. He could have starred in any Stallone film. He could have starred in Demolition Man.
He could have starred in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah, he would have done amazing. But I'm not even being facetious, man.
Or even the Big Hit.
Maybe even some dramas he could have stretched his legs in.
Yeah,
he probably could have saved Losing Isaiah. He probably could have saved that film.
Yeah. I mean, he was a competent actor, right? It's not just physicality. Like, there's a lot of good acting that he does in Predator.
He's got range. He had range.
Exactly. He had incredible range as an actor. All right. So Happy Gilmore, legendary stuff. And then we'll move on to this. You mentioned Cy, Arrested Development. Did you watch the show, Cy?
Yes, I did watch the show. I watched it. I caught it halfway through the first season when I was in college after hearing a bunch of a buzz about it. It's probably the most wittiest comedy I've seen on TV that didn't have a live audience or a laugh track. That's what made it good to me. And it's like, they can get away with saying this? Like the whole get rid of the C word. I'll leave when I want to. But Carl Weathers on there playing a fictionalized version of himself, being like a cheapskate acting coach for Tobias. That shit was funny as hell.
You got yourself a stew.
I mean, Got Yourself a Stew is probably, in a show that Cy rightfully said is probably one of the wittiest comedies on TV, that the most quotable part is a line that Carl Weathers gave, which is the "Got Yourself a Stew." Yep. Like I think about that show a lot, but I think anytime I finish a steak or something, I'm like, "Got yourself a stew."
Yeah. No, it's really good, and his sincerity, his charm, like he's actually really screwing over this character, but he's doing it with love. it's like got layers to it.
He also, I never saw it. Sorry, just to go slightly off topic, but he was in, because I cut promos for it back when I was doing that. He played the coach in a sports spoof movie called The Comebacks. Did anyone ever see that?
I did not see it, but it popped up during my research.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer, and but I cut some interviews with him, and I remember he was very he likes the concept. I remember in these interviews, these behind the scenes stuff, he just loves the concept of comedy and being able to play it both straight and goofy and stuff like that.
Got it. No, you're right. I was going to say something intelligent, but you totally derailed me, which is great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. We're vibing. We're living.
Yeah,
he was great in The Mandalorian. We're gonna get to that for sure. My other favorite line from this show. I mean, this show, just the broader aspect of it, incredible collection of talent, incredible timing, right?
Yeah.
And one of my other favorite lines was, "There's always money in the banana stand."
There's always money in the banana stand. No touching. No touching.
No touching. I think about that one too.
That payoff was so incredible.
I saw that shit coming. I'm like, he's speaking literally, Michael. And my favorite line, I have to say, is a dialogue between Michael and Lucille. When Lucille wants to take a boyfriend up to hers to a cabin, and she's concerned that the cabin won't be clean or up to par. And she's like, "Michael, how am I supposed to get a man inside of that musty old claptrap?" And he looked at her like, "Oh, we were talking about the cabin. That musty old claptrap. Yeah, that would be difficult too."
Okay, so here's you. This is what you derailed, Zach, but it's okay. It's totally fine. One of my buddies who I want to get on the show. We had a whole conversation about Predator and Carl Weathers right before doing this.
Uh-huh.
He said his wife actually knew Carl Weathers from this show. And when she found out he was in Predator and saw him in Predator, it blew her mind.
That's funny.
Because obviously different stages in his life, different stages in her career. Yeah. I can only imagine the swirl of emotions she felt looking at him with the shirt open. But again, I think it just goes back to what I keep saying, the range of this guy, what he brought to the table, and the evolution over his career to be able to go from more serious stuff, actiony stuff, to comedy and these lovable characters just really speaks to his talent. And we're not even going over everything. Okay, so having said that, anything else you want to talk about with Arrested Development? Okay, cool. Yeah, good. Always remember, man, you got that bone. You got yourself a stew. All right, and we're approaching the end here, but The Mandalorian, right?
I was surprised to see him in that.
Really? You were surprised?
I was surprised. I mean, season 1 is like all the different celebrities that they had in there. Ming-Na Wen, Gina Carano, who's now gone. Carl Weathers, he was the most surprising one for me. It's like, okay, this is interesting. And he directed an episode or two, didn't he? He did. He did direct an episode. I forgot which one. Number 12 or something. I think it was. Well, anyway, Zach, what are your thoughts before I ramble on?
I gotta say, I have not seen Mando. I don't watch enough TV shows. It's all about the movies.
You got me to slam my desk so hard I changed images.
Yeah, no, I got to get on it. behind on. I haven't seen any of the good TV shows.
Just the season 1. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Sai's not wrong. I thought season 1 of The Mandalorian was one of the best parts about the modern Star Wars era. I'm fairly critical on most of the movies post Force Awakens, for all sorts of reasons. I mean, and there's been plenty of ink spilt about it. Yeah. But I think the first season of The Mandalorian really got back to the roots of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Space adventures. This is a space Western, exotic locales, interesting characters. And he brings a lot of subtleness to the role. He brings a lot of, I want to say pathos, but also his evolution over the course of the show is wonderful. Like, he's just a value add, right? It's, I think it was really great to see him thrust back into the public eye in such a way, right? With such a fun show, it was another cultural touchstone that he got to be a part of in that sense. Sai, what are your thoughts there?
Well, The Mandalorian, I'm glad that they did that, because the movies, the newer school of movies from Star Wars, for the most part, have been a disappointment. The TV shows with J.J. Abrams behind The Mandalorian, well, the first season and some of the second season, that was better. Along with Obi-Wan as well, too. But, and J.J. Abrams, he had the right idea for the season 1 of The Mandalorian. Get well-known celebrities in there as well, too, to draw interest from, like, older crowds, as well as introducing the newer crowds. Like, a lot of the younger generation may not know who Carl Weathers was at the time either. I mean, for us, we grew up on the guy, so we know who he is instantly.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. Like that example I gave with Arrested Development. She knew him from that show. She did not know him from Predator. She did not know him from Rocky. He was just some guy on the TV in that sense. Funny, memorable.
And again, it adds to his range. It added to his range as well, too. From action dramas to action movies to comedy, and now to sci-fi dramas.
Yeah. Exactly. I will say my relationship to Carl Weathers and Star Wars is that in advance of this, I saw he was in a movie called Dangerous Passion with Billy D. Williams, and I was like, I got to see Apollo and Lando face off. So I watched it. It's not great. He plays like a security specialist for a gangster who like helps him out, so he becomes like his right hand man. But like Carl Weathers does not want to be a gangster. He's like, you got it, but the guy's like kind of holding it over his head. And then Carl Weathers starts sleeping with his wife, and they're on the run. And it's like kind of like a thriller, like a noir thriller, and then it becomes a little of an action movie in the second half. But he's really serious in it. It doesn't have a lot of his like textbook charm, but it was surprising. I think it was worth checking out. Billy D. Williams is good in it, actually. But
cool. Very cool. Very cool.
I just want to make sure I didn't watch it for no reason.
That's a great point too, because in that little YouTube video I shared, it sort of talked about how Billy D. Williams as a Star Wars star and whatnot, he was sort of, maybe we could talk about this as well. Just while we're sort of closing in on here on the end. Billy D. Williams was a big African-American star, right? And it was a big deal that he was in Star Wars and he had an amazing career at the time. What do you think about Carl Weathers when it comes to African-American cinema, right? When it comes to African-American art, what do you think he represents there?
I mean, it's hard for me not to say that isn't part of the reason he was kind of shafted as an action star in the 90s. I'm sure that's part, like, oh no, it's 1989. We like Wesley Snipes, and there can only be one, type of thing. Like, I think maybe that's got to be part of it. But no, I'll let Sai go.
I mean, well, I agree with you, Zach. Because there were bigger, badder, and blacker action stars at the time that were coming out that overshadowed him. I want to say his age as well too, but it's like that never stopped white actors. Look at Stallone.
Yeah.
As far as his legacy goes, his characters that he created were iconic enough to be referenced in pop culture, in rap lyrics and whatnot. and as well as the Predator franchise as well too. Not just Rocky, but the Predator franchise, where they continue like apocryphal versions of the characters that were gone in the first film. I mean, they kept a lot of the people that he brought to life. They kept them going.
Yeah, I just to come off what you guys are mentioning, I think he faced a lot of the challenges that Black entertainers have faced. And I've read about this before. There's only so many seats at the table, right? And there was only so many roles for African American actors, for Black actors. There were stereotypes that they're. I mean, some were exploited. Some were showing up in the 2000s in movies. They still show up here and there. Like I remember there was a controversy about one of the Transformers films and a couple of the Transformers being stereotypical in weird ways.
Oh yeah, what Bumblebee or one of them, Jazz or whatever, sounded stereotypically Black.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and some others too. Later,
it was like the little Ratchet and Clank looking ones. I forget. I think it was them.
I think that even after African American actors, like actors or actresses, find the greatest level of success, like an Oscar, for example, like Monique, when she won that Oscar for Precious, right? You thought you would have think that more doors would have opened up for her. Nah, where's she at now? Like begging to get the same money that Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle give for their Netflix comedy shows. Yeah. Like you don't command that kind of money. I mean, you might have at one point, but
there's definitely slings and arrows that I think he suffered through his career. But despite that, he kept going. He kept doing a great job, and that always showed up in his work. And I think that's one thing that inspires me about his legacy. He was a fighter through and through. He was incredibly talented, and despite the challenges he faced, he kept going.
Yeah, and I wonder, he probably had some sort of like, I feel like, because he didn't do what a lot of the other 80s action stars did and do a lot of dog shit in the 90s. He's not. He did some, like, there's some made for TV stuff. Like I said, I also watched this movie Hurricane Smith right when he died, which is not great. But like, I don't know, look at like Dolph Lundgren's filmography in the mid 90s instead, and you'll just see like a lot of bullshit. He could have done, I'm sure, plenty of that. But I think it's interesting that he, instead directed some episodes like Renegade and Silk Stockings. Like he had a different, he had a different vision for his career, I think.
Well, he directed Silk Stockings. He directed episodes of that.
8 episodes. That's the show he directed the most of.
That is awesome. I remember that show. I barely remember that show. Oh my god!
I remember just seeing commercials for it when I went to watch WWF wrestling on USA, and they would always
that's when I remember it. Yeah,
like a woman putting on her stockings. It's like, what is it supposed to be?
You're like, is this porn? He also directed 5 episodes of Sheena.
Sheena Warrior Princess.
Yeah, like Sheena Queen of the Jungle.
Oh, Xena. You're thinking Xena, Derek.
No, yeah. Xena's Warrior Princess, Sheena Queen of the Jungle, which I think is a Marvel adaptation, right?
I don't know. That might be a deep cut. There's a weird thing going on with that character where there's multiple versions, I think.
Yeah, there's a Shauna, Queen of the Savage Land or whatever.
There's Sheena, there's Shauna, and I think there's like rights disputes.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Sheena's an old school
before Marvel. Yeah. Marvel.
But anyway, he directed 5 episodes of Sheena, a show that I'd never heard of until just now. I might have to find that. That's probably on YouTube.
And plus, he stayed employed too. I mean, the movies weren't kind him in the 90s, but he found work on TV, so he had.
Yeah, he was doing it in the heat of the night.
I would love to map out, because you mentioned Renegade. I remember watching that show when I was a kid. There was one of the actors from Renegade was in Action Jackson, so there's definitely that action stunt person nexus that you could probably map out if you look at Carl Weathers and his director filmography and whatnot, and some of the other stuff he worked on. But we're approaching the end.
Did he let the studios use archival footage of himself for Creed?
I think he finally did. I know they made up. Stallone and him made up. I don't know if it ended up in Creed or not, because then Stallone was out of Creed.
Yeah, he was out by the second film. He didn't appear back in the third film at all, which at that point they don't need anybody from the Rocky franchise. Creed can stand on its own.
Yeah, and he's directing the movies now.
Although I wish they would get Ryan Coogler back as a director, because Michael B. Jordan is too damn anime style. His directing.
I still haven't seen Creed 3. I mean, I love the first one. The second one was solid. I think a solid follow up to the fourth, but I didn't see the third one yet.
The problem with them is they haven't had a real antagonist that really scares the shit out of you.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan Majors now he does, but not the actor. The actor.
I couldn't take him seriously in Creed 3. In Creed 3, I couldn't take him seriously.
Yeah, like, I guess I'm not a woman, so I don't have to be that scared of him.
Well, wasn't the white woman chasing him around New York?
I think he might be innocent. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say.
He was legit found guilty, I think.
He was found guilty. The footage came out, and he's the one running away. But I mean, there's subtleties to that stuff. We weren't on the jury.
Yeah, as soon as that guilty verdict dropped, Marvel's like, okay, release a
Yeah, they were waiting out. They were like, okay, we're on the fence. Let's see. And then it was like the day that the guilty verdict dropped.
They did him so dirty. They did.
Yeah, I agree.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller, F that motherfucker. He did worse things to keep his job.
Because also the movie was done, so they were just like, all right, it's worth the investment just to like send Ezra Miller to rehab and just deal with it. But I don't know.
All right, well, let's not talk about bad people. Let's talk about just to wrap it up. Final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts. Zach, what are your final thoughts on this episode? And I don't know what Carl Weathers in general.
Yeah, I think Carl Weathers is a fun actor. I wish he did more stuff that showcased that he was an action hero that could command charm and get the audiences to love him, even as he did when he was playing the villain as Apollo Creed. And he was even like, we didn't even talk about Combat Carl in Toy Story. He's hilarious in that.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And like that's just a vocal performance. You don't have to look at his broad rippling chest to know that he's worth being in movies.
Agreed. For me, yeah, he was a fun actor to watch. Really, he had a lot of charm. Like even in the Rocky films, he held even as the antagonist and later friend, he held a little bit more appeal than Rocky did. And I do wish he was still alive today because his death on February 1st, I'm like, damn, way to kick off Black History Month. It leaves a lot more to be desired from the man. And I don't know if he had any posthumous projects or appearances coming, but if so, show them because some of the last vestiges of Carl Weathers, I could make use of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were all HBO Max things, so they're just going to write them off for tax, and we're not going to see any.
Oh, wonderful.
The era of the tax write-off making more news than the movies.
Yeah, he's the star of both Batgirl and Acme versus Coyote. No, I'm kidding.
No, you had me. I would have believed you.
No, but yeah, I wish. Yeah.
I sort of already said this, but I very much enjoyed. I should have done more research, but I very much enjoyed learning more about this man and his history, and just really, really inspired. It's let's be honest. Our heroes are getting older, and you never know when it's going to happen. And this really, it's terribly ironic how he passed at the beginning of Black History Month. But he's an incredible man, incredible legacy. I'm very glad that I got to enjoy his work in movies like Predator and the Rocky films and whatnot. And that's it. Thanks, Carl. You did it. You did it with the best of them. Some of the best to ever do it. And thank you. That's it. Awesome. All right, cool. Let's finish it out with Cy. You want to give us what you want to promo real quick?
Promo for myself.
Sure.
For this week, check out my video that I'm gonna air on Wednesday. We're gonna be talking about Marvel Mutant Telekinetics. We're gonna get all up in them. It's gonna be psychokinetic activity going around the whole area in my room. Like Ghostbusters, psychokinetic activity. Look at this mess. Yeah, but that's my plug. That's my plug for that.
Nice.
Check it out.
Cool. I'm gonna put some links to your YouTube channel.
So, do you play Marvel Snap at all?
No, I don't. Incredibly, even as a nerd myself, I don't even play video games anymore at all.
I'm weirdly obsessed. It's like a Magic the Gathering type of thing, but with Marvel characters. But what I like about it is the way that the powers that the cards have are like very analogous. Like the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, like they work together really well, and like there's tons of characters. It's a lot of fun.
Fallen Angels, nice reference.
Zach, anything you want to promo, or are you just going to go back to the Batcave and chill, or what's the story?
Yeah, I got nothing to promo. I mean, if you want to check out my Letterbox, it's Dr. Robotnik, like abbreviated DrRobuttnik. I'm watching movies there, but it's nothing professional. I'm just, messing around.
Hey, Zach, have you ever reviewed the '94 movie The Getaway with a Kim Basinger?
No, I saw that when it came out. I don't remember much about it. I remember them setting off the alarm and like timing the cop response. I remember a lot of scenes in it, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
I would just like to hear your thoughts on the subplot in the film with Michael Madsen and Jennifer Tilly's characters.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down right now.
I remember enjoying the hell out of that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, I liked it when it came out.
The subplot in that movie left me erect but confused at the same time.
All right, everybody. My name's Derek Scarzella. I run Action to Go-Go. You can purchase my novels, Knuckle Crackbone, and The Vicious Game on Amazon. They're available, probably on sale. Guys, thank you so much. This was incredibly fun. Definitely want to have you guys on here again. Everybody out on YouTube land, God bless. Have a good night. Take it easy.
Good night.
Good night.
Talk to you later.